Commanders-Lions. The Commanders go on the road and win a 45-31 laugher. I mean, by the end of it, it was over midway through that fourth quarter, unfortunately. Even though we all know the Lions can put points to the scoreboard, that team was buried. And it was, as Pete Prisco likes to say, they are who they are at the quarterback position. And unfortunately, Goff reverted back to the Goff that we've seen on too many occasions now in the playoffs. He had the fourth lowest PFF passing grade since he entered into a Lions uniform. 4 years with the Lions, his fourth lowest grade. It was a tough one.
Yeah, look, I'm going to toot my own horn here because I picked the Commanders to win this game, and that was kind of this was the outright winner. This is the only divisional matchup that wasn't a rematch from the regular season. So when that happens, I kind of like to look at regular season games that could maybe play out like this game could. And so with the Lions, to me, it was when they played the Bills, where you kind of have you have a mobile quarterback who could run the offense well, and Detroit's defense was so bad. That's when they were just totally banged up, just like they were going to be in this game, and they could not do anything to stop them. And the Commanders' offense is probably just as good as Buffalo's offense. Allen's obviously a very much seen more and more of a veteran. And then when I looked at the Commanders, I looked back to their Week 4 game against the Bengals, where you have a very high-powered offense in the Bengals, but a bad defense. And so that is kind of what I envisioned happening in this game. And I didn't think Jared Goff was going to be this bad, but the Commanders' offense is just so good. And Dan Quinn, man, if I could vote for Coach of the Year right now, I might vote for Dan Quinn, because what he's done is just totally rewritten his coaching philosophy and decided, you know what? All the analytics say I should be going for it on fourth down. And he's got to feel way more comfortable than Dan Campbell does. Because, Rendell, let me ask you this. If you're going for it on fourth down, would you have Jared Goff as your quarterback or Jaden Daniels as your quarterback? I'm going to take, the mobile guy who gives you 25 more options than Jared Goff, who you either hand it off if it's 4th and 1, but if it's 4th, 2, 3, 4th and 4, you have to trust him to make a throw, and you just don't know what's going to happen in pressure situations. As you mentioned, 4 turnovers in this game, and that was the backbreaker, the pick 6. It felt like that's when the game was over, and that's when the Lions players were, I mean, obviously, they scored again. They cut it down to 24-21, but it just kind of took the wind out of their sails where, oh, God, here's another Goff game. We saw it against Houston. And I'll just say, look, Sean McVay decided he couldn't win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, and that's why he shipped him off to Detroit. And so that's where the Lions are. I think they're going to be at a crossroads where, can we win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff, especially with our offensive coordinator almost certainly leaving in the next week?
Yeah, we're going to get into just basically the Lions, their future, their window a little bit later on in the show. But it's an interesting conversation because this team's going to be different, whether it's from a coaching staff perspective, whether it's from players on the roster perspective. But this one has to feel like, if you're a Lions fan, I love this, the 2011 Packers. That's such a similar feel to it, where it's just like, you were the best team in football. The Lions were fully healthy, the best team in football. I don't think there's a debate about that. They just were. If you had Aiden Hutchinson, who was playing at an all-pro level before he got hurt, if you had Lee McNeil, who was playing at a Pro Bowl level before he got hurt, if you had Carlton Davis, you had all these guys that were very, very good players still on this defense. I don't think it's even a game. I don't think it's even a debate. Like, I think they win going away. But just each injury with each single one, it felt like a buildup effect. And I'm not like Jaden Daniels, amazing quarterback, amazing story. He had the cakewalk of an ask in that game. There were layups left and right against this Lions defense because they were so overmatched in that game. This wasn't even like an A+ performance from Jaden Daniels. He's had much, much better games this year. It was just throw it out to Terry McLaurin. He runs in a straight line for 59 yards. It's like, what are you doing here, Detroit? There were just so many blown gap assignments in the front seven, coverage assignments on the back end. It was just ugly, ugly defense. But that's just what you get when you have guys out there who were practice squatters at the beginning of the season, unfortunately.
Yeah, and really with Jaden Daniels, even though there were a lot of – the Lions made it easy on him, but he still did have to convert several big plays. And I thought a couple of them came in the second half. And one comes to mind real quick. It was 31-28 in the fourth quarter, just under 14 minutes left. And the Commanders were facing a 4th and 2. And so if the Lions get a stop here, you're only down 3. You have the ball. You go down, you score, now you're the lead. And instead of getting the stop, it was the easy. Jaden Daniels just boots out to the right and gets the easiest two. Like, if you're the defense coordinator, Aaron Glenn doing a great job all year, and granted, he is missing a few people, but how are you not accounting for the quarterback who has already run for about 50 yards in the game, and he just sweeps out to the right and gets 2 yards? It wasn't even contested. And then, boom, the Commanders score a couple plays later. It's 38-28 after that, and felt like the game was over. But it really just watching the Lions defense play, it almost made you sad because, as you said, when they weren't at full strength, they felt like the best team in football. They weren't at full strength, but that's NFL. Everybody gets hurt. Yeah. You have to figure out how to deal with those injuries. And Renner, it was an all-time collapse by the NFC North, just the second division in NFL history to go 0-3 in the playoffs, matching the AFC Central from 1982.
Oh,
that's it.
Back
that's
when
the
they had the
list.
Central Division.
Yeah, the
division
doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Packers won. Hey, everyone got hurt in that game. It happens. The Vikings are the one who should be embarrassed here. You got your ass kicked by the Rams. That's the one that they had no excuse for that. The Lions and Packers, you can forgive them for injury. Vikings, you guys should be embarrassed. I'm just trying to cope as a Packers fan. It was tough. It was tough for the NFC North in the playoffs, but not tough for Commanders fans because I don't think anyone has endured more over what was the Dan Snyder era till now. And not a lot of fan base is more deserving. 32 years now between conference championship game appearances ties the Cincinnati Bengals for the longest streak, or I guess the longest drought between two different championship game appearances. So good on them. And they now have the best quarterback in the NFC. I don't think there's anyone you're taking over him at this point in time. You're not taking Jalen Hurts over him. You're not taking Jordan Love over him. You're not taking Jared Goff over him. Like Jaden Daniels, if you're starting to franchise in the NFL with all the quarterbacks in the NFC, he's got to be the number 1 overall pick in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you look at, and I'm going to bring this conversation to Brock Purdy real quick, because the 49ers have to figure out how much are we going to pay him. And that is kind of related, because if Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFL, you're the Commanders are at such an advantage right now because you have at least 2 more years of him playing on his rookie contract. And these high-priced contracts aren't paying out right now. Renner, the top 3 highest-paid quarterbacks in the playoffs, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, and Justin Herbert, went 0-3 and combined to throw 10 interceptions. That is $160 million worth of quarterback there. And they crashed and burned. So the fact, not only do you have the best quarterback in the NFC if you're the Commanders, but the fact he's on a cheap contract is the ultimate advantage. And this team could be a Super Bowl contender till Jaden Daniels retires in 2040.
Yeah, I mean, from a roster perspective, they're only going to get more talented. Now, they may lose Cliff Kingsbury, and we'll see how much that affects it. But I don't foresee Jaden Daniels being a product of Cliff Kingsbury. Obviously, he's tailored that offense very well to Jaden Daniels' game, but I think there are a lot of offense coordinators that can work with Jaden Daniels' skill set. That's what it's like when you have a special skill set at the quarterback position.